questions. Mr. Gorman.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to address a couple of points that I had in my written testimony. And one of them, number 2, the Providence Journal and the Department of Motor Vehicles both attest to the fact, especially the Department of Motor Vehicles, that if in fact we had driver's licenses for illegal aliens available, right off the bat we would have 18,000 to 25,000 illegal aliens eligible to apply for driver's licenses. In that same article, that it also said that the first year it would cost the state of Rhode Island $1.8 million to administer that program. Where does that money come from? And I'm way ahead of myself. I apologize, but I should have thanked Representative Williams for the kind remarks that she made and say that the feeling is mutual between Representative Williams and myself. We have no animosity between the two of us whatsoever. We admire each other. We just differ on this particular issue. So thank you to Representative Williams. But we're getting back to the cost of this. In the Providence school system, we currently address 63 different foreign languages. 63. Just put 63 towards 18,000 to 25,000 people eligible for driver's licenses. Dorcas International, they have 5,000 clients at Dorcas International. They have 50 interpreters on their staff at Dorcas International for 5,000 clients. How many would the Registry of Motor Vehicles need for up to 25,000 in 63 different languages? That's just, I don't know how we could possibly address that. But when we get into the bill, and Representative Agello with the insurance, and everyone said the testimony has been so far that they have to have insurance. You don't have to have insurance, you were correct, to get a driver's license. So people could get these driver's licenses. That doesn't mean anything's going to be any safer. That doesn't mean they're all going to run out and get insurance right away. They don't carry insurance for the most part now, and even the people that have ITIN numbers, a lot of them don't carry any insurance on their cars right now. That's why people are upset. But getting to the bill itself, the very first sentence says, in order to ensure all drivers are knowledgeable of traffic safety laws and the safe operation of motor vehicles. If people speak 63 different languages, how are they going to possibly be able to read the street signs, read directions, and so on and so forth, if they speak 63 different languages? The rest of my points all have to do with verification, and I think they're valid concerns. Any of the following documents that reliably prove the applicant's name, date of birth, place of birth, a foreign birth certificate. It was just mentioned during the week that you can go on the internet and get a birth certificate from anywhere, any country in the world for $7.50. So how is the Registry of Motor Vehicles going to verify that particular aspect? A foreign passport. And the problem I have with a foreign passport, it says a foreign passport is acceptable if it's expired for less than 3 years. So are we going to take for granted that somebody's passport expired for whatever the reason up to 3 years? Is that acceptable? Then a valid driver's license from another state or identification card issued by another state. Again, is our Registry of Motor Vehicles, and maybe they are, I don't know that, but are they capable of verifying that particular information? And a little further on, it says file an affidavit, which I think Representative McAtee addressed. File an affidavit that such applicant has filed an application to legalize their immigration status or will file at such time as they're eligible. Who verifies that? We already have an illegal bill, an illegal policy for in-state tuition that exists in the state of Rhode Island that has that same provision. Does anyone at URI, have they ever checked an affidavit of someone that said, that wrote down on a piece of paper that I under under oath state that I applied for citizenship, or that I will when the time comes. Well, when does the time come? You know, if you get a driver's license tomorrow, when does the time come for that affidavit to be eligible? And another thing I have a problem with, and again, verification of those facts. Applicants for a driver's privilege license will not be required to comply with successful completion of a written exam and the road test required if they can provide the following. Again, that verification, driver's licenses from other places. And this is another accepted form. In the event the driver's license issued by another state or U.S. territory has expired for less than 1 year. How do we do that? What does the Registry of Motor Vehicles, can they check with Utah if you present something that says your license has been expired for only 8 months? Can we verify that here? I don't know. Maybe they could. And the last one, I won't go through the last one. It's just it kind of conflicts with a previous statement about education and so on. But for all of those reasons, I object. I'm against this bill. And I think if you ask most Rhode Islanders, they would be against the bill also. And I think they did I think about 3 years ago, or maybe 4 now, it was something like 80% of Rhode Islanders were against this particular type of legislation. And I think a lot of people would still be against it. And I think all this does is invites more illegal aliens to come to the state of Rhode Island. And as far as fear is concerned, I don't think people are in fear of anything. And one of the things that I kind of disagree a little bit with what Representative Williams said was, what do illegal aliens look like? Illegal aliens look like all of us right here in the room. Because if you go to Newport, not so much as Providence, you would probably find the majority of illegal aliens would be Hispanic. If you went to Newport during the summer, you would find that the majority of illegal aliens are Irish, English, Spanish, Canadian, and it's loaded with illegal aliens working in the restaurants and working in the service industries in Newport. And, I mean, they're from everywhere. And I shouldn't say recently, I think 3 years ago in Boston, and I commented on this in the Providence Journal, there were 35 Irish illegal immigrants deported out of the city of Boston about 4 years ago. So I think the look-alike part, it shouldn't even be part of the equation. It's just illegal aliens, period, not what anybody looks like, where they necessarily come from. If they've come here illegally, that's what we have a problem with. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for Terry. Representative Almeida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Terry. Some of your facts are 18 to 25,000 folks are illegals in Providence or throughout the state. I missed that part.
That would be throughout the state. That's the DMV figures for how many illegal aliens in Rhode Island would be eligible for a driver's license.
And how do they get those numbers? How do they know?
They probably get them from the U.S. Census Bureau. I'm only quoting what they said. I don't know what investigations they've done.
Well, you brought up a point. I think you said the DMV would have to look at 63 to 67 new languages.
Well,
is that the number?
That's 60. That's a known fact that Providence school system deals with 63 different languages.
But you said the DMV would deal with 63 to 67
potentially,
languages.
if there's 63 different languages dealt with in the school system, their parents must speak those same languages or whatever. So,
Yeah.
It only stands to reason.
Because somewhere in here in this pile, I got a letter, well, we all got letters from the DMV supporting Representative Williams' bill. But then if there's 63 or 67 languages, America is nothing but a soup. So welcome to America.
It's been that way for a long time. I'm not talking about the legal immigrants that speak all these languages. I'm talking about people that are here illegally speaking all those foreign languages, and that's not necessarily that we should have to take care of them.
And if the DMV is willing, and I'm going back to what I've said before, the DMV is willing, and I'm going to paraphrase your question, so I apologize if I say it wrong. Yeah. But if the DMV is willing to come up with some idea on how to translate, because I'm thinking they do, because they already sent us a bill of support for Rep. Williams' bill. Well, so they must have something that we don't know, or maybe they got something that they're working on right now.
Well, I think if you looked into it, and you could check with the Lieutenant Governor's Chief of Staff, he told me personally that they had the procedures written when Governor Chafee was still in office to put this in, because certain people, Governor Chafee and a lot of other people, are in favor of driver's licenses for illegal aliens. And I just think it's unacceptable. And when we do some of these things, when we give these benefits to illegal aliens, we're violating all sorts of laws. And when you said you go back to 1979 and this was going on in 1979, well, that should have been taken care of then. Just because we don't enforce the laws, like in 1986 when President Reagan did the amnesty for 3 million illegal aliens, they thought that was the end of the problem. All of those laws, they said, that's it. We're not going to have this problem ever again. Well, fast forward 30 years later, we have 10 times the problem that they had in those days because, as you said, they had the same problem in 1979. We never enforced the laws that are on the books for immigration since 1986. And all of the problems that we're experiencing today could be addressed simply by enforcing the laws that are already on the books.
And sir, you're absolutely right. But you know what? That part of my conversation also said, let's talk about today. I can't help it if I'm just an old-fashioned liberal, my brother. Well, but it does say, but I'm just worried about the people here now. And how do I go about solving that issue now? And do I take it out on children? Do I take it out on whole families? But yet, I mean, I've got letters of support, even from the Attorney General, who's kind of wavering, but saying, well, we got to look at fingerprints. We got support from all different agencies.
Well, that's worse. What he said, what you said about the Attorney General said. I bet you everybody in this room would be against. Most of the people in the room be against
well, I did
fingerprinting.
Say, and I also said wavered. But the fact, that's why I asked, if there's anybody from the federal government here. And so that tells me that everybody in this room has got to solve this problem. But the fact remains that I've gotten letters from all over we all got letters from all over the place in support of this. And I agree with both of y'all. It should not be fear. It should be fair. And we're trying, but I don't want to repeat myself or be repetitious. The fact is, I've got the DMV who's willing to say, I'm willing to handle this. I'm willing to make sure these good folks know how to speak the language of whatever they speak, so they understand when they get out there. Just trying to make you understand.
Okay. I understand
in my
what
liberal
you're saying,
view. Yeah.
But let me just add this, and I think the reason that the DMV and the Colonel of the State Police are in support of this bill is because the governor is in support of this bill. And the governor, I don't know, I can't say that she asked them or anything like that, but I think that influence that the governor is the head of the state of Rhode Island, and Colonel Doherty works for him, and the people at the DMV work for the governor, then if she comes out and says, I'm 100% in favor of this, as a matter of fact, during her campaign, she said this statement. She said, I can't tell you how proud I am to be the first gubernatorial candidate that's in favor of driver's licenses for illegal aliens. So I think that's why some of those opinions are changing, is because the governor is so strongly in favor of this. And just because the governor is in favor of it, it still, in my opinion, doesn't even come close to making it right, Joe.
And I'll let it go with this. Hey, look, Roger Williams wasn't too happy about a lot of stuff, but he came here with the goodness of his heart, and maybe Rhode Island is just trying to say, you know what, maybe we'll open up our arms to these good people and show them how to get registered at the DMV. So I guess history has a way of coming back around, And like Rep. Williams said, we're here, we're not going nowhere. But thank you.
Oh, I understand that, and it's that we're here is growing by leaps and bounds, Joe, and that's a concern. Like when I said that would invite more illegal aliens to come to the state of Rhode Island. If the population, if you want to look at it, if you want to just say look at the Hispanic population, and from 2008 to 2015, there's a 54% increase in the Hispanic population. Now that's legal immigrants and illegal immigrants. But, I mean, that's a big increase. You're right. We're here, and you're not going anywhere, I guess. But it's growing by leaps and bounds, and how much more can we absorb? And that's got nothing to do with where people come from or anything like that. You know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're supposed to Latina. I ain't going to leave her behind.